Thinking about jumping across that chasm, here's how far you'll really go. Okay, this is straight from the 2024 new rules found on dndbeyond.com. When you make a jump, you make either a long jump, which is horizontal, or a high jump, which is vertical. See also long jump and high jump. When you make a long jump, you leap horizontally a number of feet up to your strength score if you move at least 10 feet immediately before the jump. When you make a standing long jump, you can leap only half that distance. Either way, each foot you jump costs a foot of movement. If you land in difficult terrain, you must succeed on a DC 10 dexterity acrobatics check, or you have the prone condition. This long jump rule assumes that the height of the jump doesn't matter, such as a jump across a stream or a chasm. At your DM's option, you must succeed on a DC 10 strength athletics check to clear a low obstacle no taller than a quarter of the jump's distance, such as a hedge or low wall. Otherwise, you hit the obstacle. High jump. When you make a high jump, you leap into the air a number of feet equal to 3 plus your strength modifier, minimum of 0 feet. If you move at least 10 feet on foot immediately before the jump. When you make a standing high jump, you can jump only half that distance. Either way, each foot of jump costs a foot of movement. You can extend your arms half your height above yourself during the jump. Thus, you can reach a distance equal to the height of the jump plus 1.5 times your height. So they really simplified the way that jumps work as opposed to how they had it in 2014. You basically have it down to 2 things, and each one of those jumps depends on whether or not you have kind of a running start to it. Now, when you're doing a long jump, you're assuming that the height doesn't change too much. It's about level. If it were above or down below, but you're still moving forward, that may be a DM call, and you may need to clarify exactly what the landscape looks like. So the biggest difference is that your long jump, the ability to jump forward a distance, that one relies on your raw score. So if your strength is 15, you're able to jump a full 15 feet after you run that 10 initial feet. If you do it from a standstill, you only do it for 7 feet, because 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, and we round down. One important thing to note is if you run 10 feet, and then you jump 15 feet. If your character only has 30 feet of movement, he has 5 feet of movement left once that's done, because the traversal, the jump distance, also counts against your movement speed. Now, high jump's a little bit different. It doesn't do your raw score, it takes your modifier into effect. You can jump 3 plus your score modifier. So let's say you have a strength of 15. Your raw strength is 15, so you can jump forward 15 feet. But to jump up vertically with your high jump, you can only jump 2 additional feet because your modifier is only +2. So you have your +2 plus your base +3. Your character has a 5-foot vertical. That's pretty impressive. Here's what that looks like on a table. Let's say that Slim and Hagar are trying to cross a chasm. Slim goes first. He knows with a strength score of only 8, he's going to have to jump a little harder than the average person. The chasm is only 5 feet wide, but if he tries to jump from a standstill, he fails. Why? Well, because for a long jump, if you don't move 10 feet first, you can only go half the distance of what your strength score is. So for Slim, that's 8 halved, that means 4. So he'll definitely need a 10-foot head start before he starts for an 8-foot leap. Hagar, however, no problem. He laughs and he barely tries, as his strength of 15 allows him to easily cross the gap from a standing position. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, and we always round down, so a 7-foot jump across, standing still with no sweat. But uh-oh, we weren't looking at where we were jumping to. The opposite side is covered in oil and is considered difficult terrain. When you jump and land on difficult terrain, you have to make a save on a dexterity check, not strength, to remain standing. Make sure you note this. Jumping across is strength, but landing is going to be dex. The difficulty, or the DC, is 10, which shouldn't be much of a problem. Hagar, on the other hand, isn't quite as confident as he was before. With a dexterity of only 8, he has an automatic -1 penalty to any of the checks. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. He fails, and he goes prone. Next up, Hagar and Philia are trying to jump up onto a roof ledge that is 8 feet in the air. Philia goes first, and with a strength of 9, she also has to take a running leap of 10 feet. That's 3 plus your strength modifier, and for her, that's a -1. So she has a vertical and is able to leap just 2 feet into the air. Now, while that doesn't seem much, remember, she can use her height, which in this case is 6 feet. So that's 6 feet tall, plus 3 feet arm's length, plus the 2-foot vertical equals 11 feet, which is enough to reach up and grab the ledge. So let's talk about some special case uses. The boots of striding and leaping and jump spells and some special class abilities will change the way that basic jumping works, but only by distance. So if for some reason you had a 35-foot jump, you couldn't move that distance unless you dashed. You can't jump farther than your movement speed. Some DMs will ask for athletic checks depending on if you're jumping on or off or through something. And if you fall and miss, you still take fall damage. As a note, that's 1d6 for every 10 feet you fall, with a maximum of 20d6. There are some additional rules to falling damage when you're hitting water or landing prone. We'll cover that in another video. Here's a tip for the DMs. For faster play, keep a pre-calculated sheet of jump distances handy behind your DM screen. Players love to jump places, and you will be asked. Want more quick rule breakdowns like this? Subscribe, like, comment, all those things. I'd love to hear from you guys. This is Jared from Carpe DM.